Arnella Muti is a name that carries weight in the world of Italian cinema. A woman known not only for her beauty, but for her unapologetic spirit and fiery personality. Over the years, she's become something of a legend, both for her memorable screen presence and the bold choices she made in her life and career. To her fans, she's forever remembered as the woman who didn't back down from the famously headstrong Adriano Celentano. Together, the two formed an unforgettable on-screen partnership that many still consider one of the most iconic duos in international film history. In this feature, presented by the Money&Fame channel, we're taking a closer look at how the enigmatic Arnella Muti lives today, what she's been through, and how her past shaped her present. What is life like for Arnella now, and what paths has she walked to get here? Born as Francesca Romana Rivelli on March 9, 1955 in Rome, she would later become known to the world under the name Arnella Muti, a name that would become synonymous with rebellion, sensuality, and charm. Her roots were a mix of cultures. Her father came from Naples in southern Italy, while her mother's side had a more complex history. They had fled Russia, spent time in Estonia, and ultimately made their way to Italy, settling in the capital. This cross-cultural background helped shape the unique persona that would later set Arnella apart from other actresses. Francesca wasn't an only child. She had an older sister named Claudia, who was 5 years her senior and an important figure in her early life. Creativity ran deep in the family. Her father was a journalist, deeply engaged with the world and its stories, while her mother was a sculptor, working with her hands to turn raw material into art. Growing up in such an environment naturally had an influence on the two sisters. But life took a hard turn when Francesca was just 10 years old. Her father passed away, leaving the family without their primary breadwinner. Her mother suddenly found herself alone, trying to support two daughters and keep their lives intact. The financial strain was immediate and heavy. With her mother's income as a sculptor barely enough to cover basic needs, the family struggled to make ends meet. Francesca, even as a young girl, was not the type to accept hardship without a fight. She had a strong will and a sense of urgency well beyond her years. By the time she was 13, she was already looking for ways to earn money. In a move that shocked many when it later came to light, she began posing nude for students at a local art school, falsely claiming she was of legal age. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was a paycheck. She also started modeling for photo novels, which were popular serialized dramas printed in magazines, and did photo shoots that veered into the erotic. At that time, these choices were taboo, especially for someone her age. But to Francesca, they were necessary. Survival came before propriety. Her secret didn't stay hidden for long. Eventually, both her mother and school officials found out about the modeling work. There was talk of expulsion. The scandal could have derailed her education entirely. But when the school staff understood the family's dire financial situation, they turned a blind eye. The situation was quietly resolved without formal punishment. Meanwhile, her sister Claudia, who had long dreamed of a career in acting, was pursuing small roles and trying to break into the industry. She managed to land a minor part in the film Two Judases and made appearances in a few TV shows, but nothing major came of it. Still, when auditions opened for a film titled The Most Beautiful Wife, Claudia saw an opportunity and decided to try out. She asked Francesca to come along for moral support. Claudia's audition didn't go well. Her natural shyness held her back, and she failed to land the part. But as fate would have it, the director's attention wandered to the younger sister waiting on the sidelines. Francesca had a quiet confidence and intensity that stood out. She hadn't even planned to audition, but the director saw something in her. At first, Francesca refused. Acting wasn't her dream, and she didn't feel ready. But Claudia urged her to go for it. In the end, Francesca agreed, and the role became hers. That moment marked the beginning of a long career, even if it wasn't entirely by choice. Claudia continued acting for a short time after that, picking up a few small roles. But her focus shifted after marrying into one of Italy's most powerful families. Her husband was the son of Giovanni Leone, who was serving as the president of Italy at the time, a connection that drew Claudia away from the screen and into a very different life. To avoid confusion with another actress named Luisa Rivelli, Francesca was given a stage name by the director Damiano Damiani. Thus, Arnella Muti was born. Although her debut film didn't turn her into an overnight sensation, it served as a strong foundation. It introduced her to the film industry and proved that she had the screen presence to go far. During the filming, her co-star Alessio Orano fell head over heels in love with her. He even spoke publicly about wanting to marry her. But given how young she was at the time, the idea was quickly dismissed. The romance didn't evolve, but the two remained close friends for years afterward. Arnella soon found herself getting invited to take roles in a growing number of films, many of them centered on sexuality and sensuality. While some actresses might have hesitated, Arnella embraced it. She didn't flinch at the idea of nudity or eroticism on screen. In fact, she broke new ground by becoming the first Italian actress to appear completely nude in a film without using a body double, something that was almost unheard of at the time. She went on to appear in a series of provocative, low-budget films that leaned heavily on her looks. Titles like The Perfect Place to Kill, Sun on the Skin, The House of Pigeons, Fiorino, The Nuns of Sant'Arcangelo, and Appassionata filled her early filmography. These roles didn't demand much in the way of emotional range or dramatic skill. They were more about aesthetics and allure. But Arnella took the work seriously, even if others didn't. Her big breakthrough came with the film People's Novel, in which she starred alongside Michel Placido. This was the role that changed public perception. Viewers were mesmerized by her unique ability to blend childlike innocence with raw sensuality. It was this contrast that led to her being affectionately nicknamed Donna Bombina by Italian audiences. What made the role all the more striking was that she played a 17-year-old pregnant girl. And she was 17 and pregnant in real life too. Arnella had grown up fast. By her late teens, she was already a mother, balancing the demands of parenthood with the beginnings of a high-profile career in film. Arnella Muti became a mother at a time in her life when most teenagers are still figuring out who they are. She gave birth to a daughter named Naiki, the result of a secretive relationship with a man who was already married. His name remains a mystery to this day, as Muti has always chosen to protect his identity. What is known, however, is that the man had no intention of leaving his wife or family. When he learned of the pregnancy, he walked away, severing ties with Arnella and leaving her to face the consequences on her own. It was a deeply isolating period, and yet, in that darkness, someone from her past stepped forward, Alessio Arano, the actor who had once fallen for her on the set of The Most Beautiful Wife. Alessio had never truly stopped loving her, and when she needed support most, he was there. He not only offered emotional comfort, but embraced her daughter as his own. His devotion was clear, and a year later, he and Arnella were married in a quiet ceremony. In the early days of motherhood, Muti continued working to maintain her career momentum. She took roles in films such as Married Woman, Leonore, and Like a Rose on the Nose. These films added to her resume, but they didn't stand out critically or commercially. They were transitional works, more about staying active in the industry than making an artistic statement. Still, she took each role seriously, determined to be more than just a fleeting beauty on screen. Then came a major shift. She landed a role in The Last Woman, opposite Gerard Depardieu. In this emotionally charged drama, Arnella portrayed a gentle yet resilient kindergarten teacher, a stark contrast to the sexually charged roles she had taken in the past. This film allowed her to show audiences a deeper, more vulnerable side of herself, and it resonated. Critics took notice, and for the first time, she was taken seriously as an actress capable of complexity. The film received critical acclaim and earned a César Award nomination, one of the highest honors in French cinema. That success opened new doors. In her next major role, she starred in Death of the Villains, alongside the enigmatic and stylish Helmut Berger. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, and the film was a hit. Suddenly, Arnella was not just a local celebrity. She was gaining recognition far beyond Italy. With her popularity soaring, directors began to compete for a chance to work with her. She quickly became one of the most in-demand actresses in Italian cinema. Films like The New Monster, The Bishop's Bedroom, Portrait of the Bourgeoisie in Black, First Love, and The Neapolitan Detective all followed, and each one helped to solidify her place as a serious talent. Arnella's appeal didn't stop at Italy's borders. She began accepting roles in foreign productions as well. Among them were the German crime series Special Commission and the Soviet drama Life is Beautiful, showcasing her ability to adapt to different storytelling styles and cultures. Then came the turning point in her career, the 1980 release of The Shortening of Staroptywov. It was a wild, offbeat comedy that captured the public's imagination and shattered box office records, grossing 19 billion lira, a staggering sum for the time. In fact, it became the highest-grossing film in Italian cinematic history. What's more, even though Soviet censors cut multiple scenes and delayed its release by 3 years, it still became a massive hit with audiences there. People couldn't get enough of it. Central to the film's success was Arnella's explosive on-screen chemistry with Adriano Celentano, a beloved figure in Italian entertainment. The two lit up the screen, and their relationship extended beyond the film set. Despite a significant age gap, Celentano was nearly 30 years older, Arnella found herself genuinely falling for him. Their affair was passionate, intense, and ultimately disruptive. The affair led to her breakup with Alessio Arano. Their marriage ended in divorce, and in the emotional fallout, Arano made a painful revelation to the press. He wasn't Nike's biological father. The news caused a stir, sparking widespread media attention and placing Muti in an uncomfortable spotlight. Speculation about Nike's father intensified. Many believed he might be Spanish producer José Luis Bermúdez de Castro, but when he requested a DNA test to confirm or rule out paternity, the results showed he was not the father. This only deepened the mystery surrounding Nike's parentage. Eventually, Arnella acknowledged what had long been whispered. She truly didn't know who the father was. It was a difficult admission, but one that humanized her even more in the eyes of fans who had watched her grow up on screen. Despite the personal chaos, Muti and Celentano's cinematic chemistry continued to deliver. They teamed up again for Madly in Love, a romantic comedy that audiences embraced. It was another hit, cementing their status as one of Italy's most iconic film duos. But behind the scenes, reality was sinking in. Arnella came to understand that Celentano, while charming and magnetic, would never leave his wife. Refusing to settle for being the other woman, she ended the relationship. Not long after, she began seeing director Marco Ferreri, another older man with a reputation for brilliance and a famously difficult personality. Dubbed the evil genius of Italian cinema, Ferreri fascinated Muti, but their connection never matured into a serious or lasting relationship. Still, she remained busy on screen, diving into a wide array of projects. She took a role in the cult sci-fi film Flash Gordon, and followed it up with the romantic drama Love and Money, the quirky comedy Nobody's Perfect, and the psychological thriller The Girl from Trieste. One of her most powerful performances came in The Story of an Ordinary Madness, where she showed a raw, unfiltered side that impressed both fans and critics. Another fan favorite was Bonnie and Clyde, an Italian reimagining of the American classic, leaning more into absurdity and slapstick. In the film, she starred opposite Paolo Villaggio, and their comedic timing made it a standout. But not every film was a hit. Over time, she appeared in several movies that, while keeping her visible, didn't leave a major mark on her career. These included Swan's Love, Poor Rich Man, The Future is a Woman, Casanova, and Chronicle of a Death Foretold. Away from the screen, her personal life was taking another turn. She found love again, this time with producer Federico Facchinetti. The couple had 2 children together, a son, Andrea, and a daughter, Carolina. They later made their relationship official. At first, their life together appeared idyllic, but the illusion didn't last long. Federico had a growing addiction to gambling, one that quickly spiraled out of control. He accumulated massive debts, many in Arnella's name, putting her reputation and finances at risk. Worse still, whispers began to surface about his infidelities. Arnella, once again, found herself cleaning up someone else's mess. She paid off his debts to spare him legal trouble, but made it clear that their marriage was over. They divorced, and when Federico later fell back into debt, Arnella was no longer there to rescue him. Without her support, he ended up in jail. Professionally, she kept moving forward. Muti continued to land roles in major productions, including the biopic Michelangelo, the sprawling American epic Once Upon a Time in America, and the comedy Oscar, where she played opposite Sylvester Stallone. Although her work was well received, Hollywood never fully embraced her. She remained on the fringes of the American film industry and eventually redirected her focus back to Italian cinema. There, she starred in local favorites like Christmas Vacation and The Bilingual Lover, reconnecting with the audience that had loved her from the very beginning. In 1994, Arnella Muti was crowned the most beautiful woman in the world in an international poll conducted by Class magazine. The honor was a testament to her enduring allure and global recognition. However, this accolade, while flattering, didn't significantly influence her acting career at the time. The mid-1990s were relatively quiet years for Muti on the screen. Major roles eluded her, and it seemed the industry had momentarily moved on, until 1998. That year, she made a notable return with the television miniseries The Count of Monte Cristo, co-starring Gerard Depardieu. The production was a big success, both commercially and critically, and helped to revitalize her public image. Interestingly, it was also a family affair. Her daughter, Nike Ravelli, was cast in the same project, playing the lead character in her youth. Their on-screen connection mirrored their real-life dynamic and made headlines. Nike, in many ways, had followed a path strikingly similar to her mother's. The resemblance between the two, both in appearance and temperament, was uncanny. Like Arnella, Nike entered the world of modeling early, posing for risque magazines before she was out of her teens. And like her mother, she became a mother herself at a young age, choosing to raise her child without a partner. When Muti first learned of her daughter's pregnancy, she was heartbroken. The news reopened old emotional wounds and sparked tension between them. The two women didn't speak for nearly a year, and their silence was widely reported in the press. But with time, and the birth of Nike's son Akasha, the frost began to thaw. Arnella softened, stepping into the role of grandmother with pride. Soon, tabloids began referring to her as Italy's most beautiful grandmother, a title she wore with surprising grace. Around that same time, Muti entered a relationship with plastic surgeon Stefano Piccolo, who was 10 years younger than her. The age difference, however, wasn't the biggest challenge in their relationship. Piccolo was intensely possessive. His jealousy extended not just to fans or colleagues, but even to Muti's own children. He wanted her undivided attention, something she was never willing to give at the expense of her family. After 10 tumultuous years together, she made a clear choice. She left him to prioritize her children. Despite personal challenges, Muti continued to take on a variety of roles during this decade. She starred in films such as Esther the Beautiful, and multiple entries in the experimental thriller series, The Tulsa Looper Suitcases. She also explored her comedic side in films like Social Lions and Say Yes, and tackled drama in See You Tomorrow and Sipoceki. She appeared in the TV series Blood and Roses, showing that even after decades in the industry, she could still surprise audiences. In addition to her acting, Muti made headlines once again when she posed nude for Daft Pro Age, a company that celebrated mature women. While she had long been comfortable with her body and her sensuality, she confessed that this shoot was different. She admitted it was harder to bear herself physically and emotionally now that she was older. Still, she embraced the challenge, and the images proved once again that she remained an icon of grace, strength, and beauty. After her split with Piccolo, Arnella found companionship with businessman Fabrice Kerherve. Their relationship, unlike the previous one, was built on mutual respect and understanding. Kerherve was not only accepting of Muti's children, but genuinely fond of them. His support extended beyond the emotional. He also played a pivotal role in helping her launch her own jewelry brand. In 2008, Muti debuted a line of jewelry with a deeply personal twist. Every piece in her collection told a story, symbolizing freedom, passion, or resilience. Many items were engraved with a haunting phrase, "Free me if you love me." The brand was more than a business. It was an extension of her identity, her journey, and the lessons she had learned over the years. Her boutiques opened in key cities including Rome, Milan, Moscow, Riga, and Almaty, quickly gaining attention for their elegance and originality. As her business thrived, Muti gradually stepped away from constant film work. One of her last high-profile appearances was in To Rome with Love, a romantic ensemble film directed by Woody Allen. Most recently, she has been working on a new comedy project titled The Christmas Show, offering fans another chance to see her shine. These days, Muti spends most of her time surrounded by family. Her main residence is a sprawling estate in the countryside village of Lermont, where Nike also lives. The house is large enough to accommodate her entire family comfortably. Each child and grandchild has their own space. There's a pool, lush gardens, and a peacefulness that stands in sharp contrast to her earlier years in Rome's busy entertainment scene. Beyond Lermont, Muti owns several properties across Italy. She maintains a residence in Genoa and has a vineyard in Tuscany, where she produces her own boutique label of Abbey wine. After 12 years in the chaos of Rome, she's embraced the tranquility of rural life. But it hasn't all been smooth sailing. Back in 2017, Muti and her family were evicted from a luxury apartment they had rented in Montemario's Socrates Square after failing to pay €80,000 in rent. Bailiffs arrived to carry out the eviction, but the actress was not at home. She was staying in Monte Carlo with a friend. Following the incident, the family moved temporarily into the five-star Hotel Parco dei Principi. Thanks to Kerherve's international business ventures, Muti now splits her time between several countries. One of their homes is a 3-room apartment in central Moscow, just steps from the Cathedral of Christ the Savior. Muti has never hidden her affection for Russia. She travels there frequently and has publicly expressed her admiration for its culture and people. In 2016, she even appeared in Artur Pirojkov's music video for the song Like Celentano, a tribute to her earlier film The Taming of the Scoundrel. She played herself in the video and at the premiere declared her intention to apply for Russian citizenship, a move that generated significant buzz. Muti also expanded her brand portfolio with the launch of a skincare line called SkinStar, designed specifically for women in the post-Soviet market. In 2017, she took part in the prestigious Moscow International Film Festival, and in 2018, she portrayed Russian Empress Anna Ioannovna in the opera The Crystal Palace. That same year, she appeared in the theatrical drama The Trial of the Witch. Despite her glamorous career, Muti has always made time for charity work, particularly in support of children with serious illnesses. But her life has not been without controversy. In the late 90s, she officially became a resident of Monaco, but continued to reside primarily in Italy, a decision that led to accusations of tax evasion totaling 2.3 million euros. Then in 2015, another scandal erupted. Muti canceled a scheduled performance due to a claimed illness, but was later seen attending a lavish private event that same evening. Rumors spread that she had been paid generously to attend. The incident led to a conviction for fraud, 8 months in prison and a 600 euros fine. Eventually, the case was settled when she paid 30,000 euros in damages to the Verdi Theatre and issued a public apology to the audience. Despite everything, the highs, the heartbreaks, the public scrutiny, Arnella Muti says she has no regrets. She embraces her past fully. The love affairs, the risks, the fame, and even the failures. Today, she lives life on her own terms. She still shares photos that capture her timeless beauty, and she continues to inspire fans across generations. So, what's the real secret to Arnella Muti's seemingly ageless charm? Perhaps it's her honesty. Perhaps it's her refusal to be defined by any one chapter in her life. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the Money and Fame channel. There's plenty more where this came from.